Hello, good morning, good afternoon. Merry Christmas, everyone. That nearly went horribly wrong, or did go horribly wrong. Just before I started the live stream, I sat here and my computer blue screened and rebooted on me. I just looked across and I saw all my monitors go off and I saw the typical Windows blue screen of death, which is always worrying just before a live stream starts. So hello, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are well. It is Christmas and I have no idea how many of you amazing people are going to join me tonight, but I thought I would do a live stream anyway, because why not? Why can't we do it on Christmas Eve? Obviously, there are things that we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about this HDZero thing, because there's a bit more to it than I probably... No, there probably isn't more to it than I explained, but I probably should explain it in voice rather than just text. We're also going to talk about the new DJI FPV drone 2. No, it's not. Okay, so there are renderings roaming around the internet, which we are going to talk about and explain. And I can't remember what else I put in the doc. I need to look at the title of the stream because I've forgotten. Oh, that was all I put in the stream today. We're going to look at a new receiver from Radio Master, quickly, a new dual receiver, and we're going to talk a little bit about reviews and shilling on this channel, because there seems to be a bit of confusion of what I have said, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. Now, as always, we will answer any questions you amazing people may have. Super chats are welcome on the stream, but they are not required for me to be able to answer your question. I do also have a Discord server. If you're not a member of it, please do consider checking it out. And I also have a Patreon as well if you'd like to support the channel. I do need to do a better job of shilling that on the stream. I'm actually thinking of doing a sponsored by bit at the start, like Linus, so leading you into today's sponsor. Has anyone also seen that video on the 115-inch TV that Linus has put up tonight? Oh my god, I am in love. If you haven't seen that, oh my god, if you haven't seen that video, what a piece of kit that is. It is incredible. 115-inch HDR telly. It is just mind-blowing. There's a point where it just shows you the lights up the room. Light, you know, the TV goes light, and it's like, Jesus, that's incredible. So, if you haven't seen it, it's worth a look. Not now. Not this second. Obviously, because we don't want you going anywhere yet. We've got more important things to talk about. So, anyways, I hope you are... It is OLED. I hope... No, was it OLED? No, actually, I don't think it was OLED. No, it's not OLED. I think it's same tech as Samsung uses. QLED or like that, I think it was. But it was incredible. It's a VA panel. Yeah, it was a VA panel. I had to think. Yeah, micro LED. Yeah, that was it. So, you know, the same stuff Samsung use. Basically, it's the same technology as LG own. And it's quite interesting because it's not for sale in Europe or America. And they think it's because LG own the patent on the technology in those countries. MOLED, yeah. Micro LED. So, but yeah, really incredible looking TV. Really just like, oh my god, that is just, it's just madness. So, I hope you're all safe and well. It has been an interesting week. Overall, I've had a few deliveries this week. I've been building up the Chris's AOS 5 frame. Can't show you it, unfortunately, because there's something in it that you don't know about yet. But we have also had some other deliveries, which we're going to take a quick look at later on as well. We're also, as always, going to talk about the news, and it's been a weird week for news because there hasn't been a lot, but there has been a bit, and this DJI thing is starting to bubble up a little bit now, and it's just interesting to see how we're starting to see the beginnings of this DJI thing. And if I just find what I'm looking for on Twitter, because I need to find an image. Actually, it's on my computer. I need to find an image that this all started on DJI a little while ago. Let me just find the right image. The image I can share. Oh, that was a hint. But if you remember, with regards to DJI, the leaks started about a month ago with me and Junus and a few others, actually. And it started with this, which you're not seeing because I've chosen the wrong monitor. Oh, God, look at that. We've got... Why have I got an overhead camera on that one? We don't want that. It started with this a few weeks ago. This was the first of the leaks. And as I've said, we were shared some information with regards to the new goggles and that they're going to have dual vision cameras. They're going to support 04 and they're going to be a very similar form factor to the current DJI goggles. However, over this week, we've started to see a bit more sort of talk and things being posted, and specifically some renders, which I've now lost. Here we go. And these renders are now circulating on Facebook as if they are absolute fact. And we'll bring it over here. Oh, I tell you what the issue is. Broadcast. NVIDIA Broadcast has selected the wrong camera. Shock horror. Cheers, NVIDIA Broadcast. Oh, and it's decided now that it's lost all of my effects. Wow. Okay, so NVIDIA Broadcast is clearly flipped out. Oh, look at that. Well, that's clearly what crashed the computer just now. Okay, so these are the images that you're seeing posted online. Now, let's get crystal clear on a minute. These are not images. These are fan renders. For the last few releases of DJI products, we have seen people start to put out fan renders of what the product will look like. And these are based in no reality at all. So just be crystal clear. This is not an image of the drone. It's not really even an image of the drone based on facts. Now, I had heard some rumors last week that the new FPV drone, what's going to be called whatever they're calling it, this Avonics or Avionics, whatever they're calling it, Avox, is actually a new version of the FPV drone. We know it's going to be 04. We know that already. That's fact. DJI are not making 03 products anymore. So everything is going to be 04. But we know it's 04 because the goggles are 04. And we also know a few other things as well. And there's a lot of hints that it's actually going to be very similar to the current drone and may even take the same battery, which is quite interesting. But this isn't it. So before you get hung up on things, don't expect this to be it. Now, would I expect DJI to make a more pro version of the FPV drone? Actually, yes. Now, this article is quite interesting, and I think this article is AI written. Not the images, not the renders. I think the renders are done by a person, but the wording on this document or this article is very, very suspicious. And I think it's AI written. And the reason I think it's AI written is it talks about things in the third person. And what I mean by that is this. After years of development of some of the world's leading aerial drones, DJI debuted the Avata last year, their first ever FPV racing drone. Right. So A, the Avata's not a racing drone, and B, it wasn't their first ever. And this really has a AI feel to it. And that got designer Kim Seung-chul asking, why must be there a separate drone for aerial photography and first-person racing? This really has a feel of AI to it. And I know this because I've done some testing with GPT-3 and GPT-4 on writing stuff, and there is a very noticeable effect of it at times, how it talks about you as the person who's writing the document, often as a third person, and the way it words it. And I think, look, the wording of this is AI derived. The wording of this is just all AI derived. However, the images are what we call fan renders. Now, if we scroll down, they show you images of the goggles, which is what they think they're going to look like. That there. I'll be really interested to see how close this is compared to that image that I was showing earlier, which is this one here, with the cameras where the eyes were, the venting, and this bar along the top. I'll be interested in seeing which one gets closer. Overall, at the moment, it is looking like February to March time for the release cycle on this, based on the rumours, based on the info. I am a little surprised that DJI is pushing ahead with the FPV drone, actually. I wouldn't be shocked to see the following. An FPV drone with front obstacle sensors. I don't imagine seeing rear, but I do imagine seeing front. Do I imagine seeing a better camera? Yes. Something else in this article is interesting, because when you read this, it clearly doesn't know that DJI owns Hasselblad. Because in this article, they talking about the camera. It made me chuckle, because when I read it, it's like, you don't actually know, do you? When we scroll down, as a obvious upgrade to its Avata and Mini lines, the FPV2 has a new dual-lens camera system powered by Hasselblad, a partnership continuing from their collaboration on the Mavic 3. Well, it's not really a collaboration. DJI own Hasselblad. They bought a minority stake in 2015 and closed that off in 2017. And Hasselblad is a wholly owned subsidiary of DJI and has been for about 4 or 5 years. So the text in the text is off, but I think it's AI. I largely think this is AI written. So much of the articles being posted online now is being spewed out by AI. It's ridiculous. It really, really is. Obviously integrated RID and probably GPS in the goggles as well. Yeah, look, this is gonna have RID. It is going to have all of that usual stuff. I wouldn't even expect it to be below 250 grams, if I'm honest. I think I heard someone tell me, because I'm losing track, that it will probably use the same battery. I'm not shocked at that, because the battery tech hasn't really changed. Clearly, look, these renders are based on DJI products of a sort, but they're not accurate. Look, and, you know, DJI is not going to make another remote. It's going to be interesting, and it's going to be interesting to see how the dual camera thing works. Is it going to be a picture-in-picture? Is it going to be a floating image? Augmented reality? How is it going to be? In theory, you could, with this dual camera, with these cameras, have it that almost your image is like a TV on the wall that you look at, and as you look around, you can then see around you. It could be quite interesting. There's a lot of really cool potential here. Could DJI have it that it sort of allows you to sort of put the image up there and then have view in front of you? Could it be 3D? Could it be that you swap between the two and it's picture-in-picture with little displays either side? There's all sorts of potential here. DJI, ironically, haven't pushed that far into the AI space and the augmented reality, the AR space, I should say, and that side of things. And considering they've got the goggles I am surprised they haven't pushed further on this. But we're going to have to wait and see. What is reality is this. Don't believe that this is real. This is not real, okay? This is just fan art. It is nothing more. It grabs lots of nice clicks on websites. So whoever it is getting lots of nice traffic. If we have a look down at his renders, you know, look, what he's getting is... Look, he's a guy who has a... Look, he's clearly a product designer. So what you're getting is... Let's have a look what else he's done. It's just a way of people getting themselves seen is what this is. You make stuff for industries that makes it look like... You know, if we go to automotive, what's he done there? Yeah, it's all just done to get attention. That's the reality of it. So, here and now, FPV2 next year. I will be ordering one when it comes out, whatever it is. What I do know is they're not going to be sending me one. That's for sure. As for timescales, we believe February, March. What that would then suggest is you'll probably see the leaks start in January. So we'll start to see... Remember the usual cycle on these things. You get the Chinese leaks first of all, so it's being tested in China, and then you get the more localized stuff. Although DJI may just drop this one, you might not see that much leakage on this, especially on like a V2 product and something like that. But I would expect proper leaks by sort of mid-Jan onwards, probably a box mid-February. Look, Chinese New Year's in the middle of this, so it depends on what DJI's plans are over that period, whether they want to launch it before Chinese New Year and then push it into retail and then sit on the sales of that over that period. I haven't actually looked. Yeah, but the FCC filings usually get hidden. For new products, the filings usually get hidden unless they slip up. Are they going to be called Goggles 2 V2? I will laugh so much if they are Goggles 2 version 2 with another name. I haven't actually looked on DJI's FCC for a while. I suppose we should do. There are people that troll this all the time, and I haven't for a while. There is a few other things I do know about it that I can't say, which raise some interesting questions. That's all I'm going to say right now. Oh, go away. I don't want that. Go away. Bloody adverts. Just because I'm zoomed in, I can't actually see the adverts properly. Right, let's go down. So what was the last thing DJI put up? So the Flycart 30 was the last thing in September. So it's been a while. They haven't put anything up on their FCC ID for a little while. Goggles 2 V2 V60. Goggles 2 V2 Integra 360. Black Edition Ultra. Yeah, there's a couple of other things that have raised interesting questions. And what I would say is one of the things that we saw would lean me to this being more of a camera-style drone than out-and-out FPV racer-style drone. But let's see what they come up with. What I would not be shocked at is DJI making an out-and-out sort of FPV cinematic style drone. I do see that. Ignore freestyle. I don't want, look, freestyle they're not interested in. More about something that people can use to get great footage. Almost like what this Helion is being marketed as by iFlight and Josh and those guys. I don't think DJI has a great deal of interest in racing just because of the parts, the repairs, all of that stuff. DJI is a camera drone company predominantly. Remember that. And everything DJI does is about filming. The one thing you've got to take into account with DJI is everything they do is about capturing images. So the Ronin series, every one of their drones is camera related. So again, the same stands for FPV. DJI putting a camera on an FPV drone isn't just to meet the minimum of requirement to be able to see. DJI wants to film that footage and make it look as good as they can. And that's what they've tried to do with O3. And that's what I suspect they'll do moving forward with the FPV drone. They target people wanting to get footage is what they target. And that's why. Not sure why they still make goggles. Red Bull would never use a DJI FPV drone for their stunt shots. I don't know so much, though. It depends. Remember, Red Bull aren't the people filming. Red Bull are just paying people to do it. If DJI make the right product, the people will use the product. Yeah, DJI fundamentally believe, I suspect, that 30 milliseconds is fine. I suspect DJI's product goal on latency is sub 25 to 30, and the below that, they have no interest. Merry Christmas, TK. Thank you very much. I suspect what DJI do is look for a balance and deliver to that balance. So that balance is, you know, you have to remember the latency went up with O3, but it was marginal, but it went up. But what they did was dramatically improve how the image is delivered. And that improved things massively. O3 is dramatically smoother in 100 frames a second mode than on the V2 goggles. So while, say, a Vista on the V2 goggles has lower latency, the image delivered is horrible compared to the image delivery on O3, which has like a V-Sync technology. So you get no tearing and you get no other issues like that. Crichton Peters. I've recently built a 5-inch drone with a Speedy BF405 version 3. I was putting that into a frame myself this afternoon, my friend, although I didn't use the Speedy B ESC. I decided not to use the Speedy B ESC because I've put that actually into the Chris Rosser build with his motors, but I didn't want to use the Speedy B ESC because it's BL Heli S and I wanted BL Heli 32, so I ended up using a Hobbywing ESC on it. But and I have O3 unit paired with it, but I'm not able to receive any OSD. Any ideas? So have you programmed the correct UART in Betaflight? And have you done it the correct way? It's the first question I was asked. So have you told it it's got a VTX, and have you applied the preset? Applying the preset is by far the safest way forward. Tell us about the Vista HDMI input project. Yes, we need to talk about that as well. That someone has played with. We'll do that next while we're still on DJI. But yes, so that's the question on that. So that's the FPV drone. That's where we're at on it. Everything looking good. Now, as you guys have prompted me onto it, this does lead us on to a nice little project that someone, and I'll put it all up now in a minute, has been doing on the FPV WTF group. And the gentleman has managed to get HDMI input on the Vista. And I'm just trying to find it, so give me a second. And I'm trying to find where it was now. And I got to find it with somewhere that I can actually talk about it. It's not there. Give me a minute. I need to figure out where this was. I'm just trying to find it, guys. Give me a second. Oh, it might have been under general hardware. Think I found it. Think I found it. Yeah, I found it. Right. Sorry. Now, there's not a lot I can actually show you on this because the gentleman is still working at it. But an amazing person called Oster, or A-U-S-T-E-R, on the FPV WTF team. Or not team, he's on the FPV WTF group. And I'll just open this. Now, this image isn't really the correct one to show you because he was having some issues. However, he has managed to create a converter board on a DJI Vista that allows him to put HDMI input. Now, this image was from a problem he was having because it wasn't formatting properly, but he's now got it to format properly, and he's now managed to get HDMI input working on a Vista on 720p 60. And looking at it, there's been more talk on this today, and he's been continuing to do the work. And it looks like he's been fully able now to get it working. And he's even trying to work out getting 1080p working on it as well. HDMI to MIPI converter, yes. So he's using a HDMI to MIPI input converter. Now, sorry, I was trying to read at the same time. So, just to confirm, a user called Oster, or A-U-S-T-E-R, on the FPV WTF group, you will find him under the hardware section over there. So, when you go to FPV WTF and go over to general hardware, you will find the gentleman under this area here. And he's been doing lots of work on this over the last couple of days, lots of posts on it. And he has successfully got HDMI input via a MIPI connection converter to work on the DJI Vista. It should work on the DJI unit, which should aim is to be able to use any camera you want as an input. Now, that will obviously come with some latency penalties. This isn't going to be for everyone. However, what it means is someone who wanted to put like a GH5 on the input or something like that absolutely could. Now, I did ask him about what the possibility of doing this on Avatar HD was, and he doesn't have one, but in theory, he will have done a lot of the legwork on this already. And it should be possible. Now, with regards to Avatar HD, I've heard nothing from Carex with regards to a HDMI input air unit. That's all I can say. Yes, AVI has just mentioned you could have a HDMI switch then, and then switch between two different cameras. There is a huge amount of possibilities here. A huge amount of possibilities. Now, the real key will be to get 1080p 60 working. If he can, because most decent camera outputs are going to be 1080p, is what most stuff is going to be. But it is really, really interesting. Potentially thermal. Yep. Lots and lots of interesting possibilities. So it's work in progress. I believe he intends to make... Could you on any camera with HDMI out? Correct. Any camera with HDMI out. Yeah. Incredibly useful. Incredibly interesting. I believe he's going to make the boards available for people. I will be ordering one. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see what people are going to be able to do with this. It is very early days. There's not a lot I can actually share with you at the moment because he hasn't really posted anything major that I can show but he has posted some images, and he is a well-known guy. And he's seeing about 58 milliseconds of latency between the input and the output, which is actually quite good, considering. And that's to a PC. He was actually looping it through his PC. So he was doing HDMI output on his PC, feeding it back around and coming it back. And look, for the kind of rigs this could be used on, this could be very, very interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. So if you're interested in seeing it, he is on the FPV WTF team group. It's very early days. You know, this isn't, oh, you can go and buy this yet. This is, in theory, it's working. Now we've got to let him sort of play with it and tidy it up. But it just looks like another really cool addition to DJI. Really, really cool indeed. So that's the situation. Now, just catching up, I just want to say a big thank you for the super chat. We had one come in before we move on. Matt Cron, thank you. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you as well, Matt. I appreciate that. Thank you for the €5 super chat. Let me just catch up on the chat. There's been a question there. I think someone has asked a question. I got a Quadmania Siren 5 split with T-Mode F6 Pro. Which receiver do I need for ELRS system? Do I need a GPS? You don't need a GPS. You can use whatever Express RS receiver you want. If you're going to ask me, I'm going to say something like Radio Master makes some good ones. I like the Radio Master ones. I like the... What's the other ones I've used? The new Beta FPV one is very good as well. Most of them are very good. I tend to say avoid the EP1 and 2s. For the gentleman who is having goggles DJI FPV setup issues, are you on Discord? If so, join my Discord after the stream. Let's have a poke and a talk about it. I believe mine should be working fine, but I haven't tried it yet. But let's get on there. There are some things we would need to check. That have you, when you flashed the flight controller, did you flash it properly with having the HD VTX option? Is the wiring 100% correct? What UART are you using? Are you using UART1? Because the standard port is on UART1 on that flight controller. Are you using UART1 or one of the other ones? And a few other things like that. Price is crazy, but I think I'll be getting a Mini 4 Pro on Boxing Day. Do you think the Mini 5 Pro will come out soon? No, I think it'll be a while. It's been a while. It'll be at least 6 months. Hello, Andy. How are you? Has anyone had success with drone hacks and DJI Potato? I went to download the firmware, so I didn't need to have my phone plugged in. I've used drone hacks before, Bobby, and I've generally found it very good. Just catching down on the chat. Does the adapter require hacked VTX firmware? Not as far as I'm aware. I could be wrong, though. But I don't think it did. But he's making tweaks to the firmware for other stuff anyways. You're probably going to need to run FPV WTF firmware. Anyone else find goggles X head strap to be too short? No, but I got quite a small head. Not according to the internet, though. Someone asked about goggles X. What was the question on goggles X? I will talk about them a bit more as well, actually, in a minute. I think there's probably a good time to talk. Should I get the Mini 4 Pro? Wait for the Mini 5. Mini 5 could be months off. That's what she said. Exactly. Someone asked about goggles X. Has anyone noticed now as drone hacks? I've lost it. I have lost the question on goggles X. Whether I heard back from CADX and some users having goggles overheat. Okay, overheating on goggles X. Right, here's what I know. Nothing. I am not aware. Look, there are some things I now know about the goggles X which I didn't know on day one. okay? And I've been very kindly shared some images by Mike Bergman. Mike Bergman is an amazing supporter of this channel, and he has shared with me some additional internal images on the Goggles X that go beyond what I tore down. And we now know a little bit more than we did before. And there is some things that worry me. Now, let me just get to the stuff. Mike Bundy, not Mike Bergman. Mike Bundy. M. Bundy. Sorry, Mike. He's going to kill me for saying that. Now, so, we have a bit more info than we had before. He shared with me some images, because he's always very kind to me and shares with me images. It's normally of him in his pants. But he does share with me some other images as well. But so let me just queue these up in the right order so I can show you. But there is one thing that has slightly concerned me. So we now have some more images of the inside of the Goggles X. So first of all, we now have the images of the PCB board at the back. Now this is sort of the main power board and I/O board at the back of the goggles. What we have on this, can I rotate this in this? No. Right, well, let me just download these images a minute, because if I download them, I can rotate them to look properly. 2 seconds, everyone. You can tell I'm not actually on form tonight. Discord. Save image. Yes. Save image. Yes. Come on. Come on. 2. And then this one. Save image. Because I need to be able to rotate them. Okay. Right. That's better. So, the first board is this one here. So this is the I/O board. So this is the front side of the I/O board. What you have on here is the main connector that is coming down from the Avatar system. You then have this chipset here. This is actually a dual driver chipset. So rather than there being 2 independent drivers on these goggles, there's a single display driver that mirrors the image both ways. You then got the power circuit on the left, bit more power up here, and then you've got your MIPI interface out either side going to the displays. So the way this board is set up is that it is mirroring the single input to both displays. There are not 2 separate drivers. And this sort of gives us a hint of what could be going on. We then swap over to the back of this board, which is this one here. Now, this has the HDMI switch, which is this IC here. And then it has the analog IC, which is your digital to analog to digital converter, basically ADC, for your analog input, which is the MS1858E. Then there's more voltage regulation and another MIPI connector here, which is probably coming down from the I/O section of the board and the HDMI. Now, the way this appears to work is, and we believe it's the case, that this HDMI switch only looks like it's switching the HDMI input and the analog input. The Avatar input looks like it's coming straight into this IC. So the way I think this is set up is the Avatar input comes into this IC, because this IC can do input switching as well, and it has multiple inputs. So the Avatar comes straight into here, as does the output from the HDMI switch comes straight into here, and then it chooses either the HDMI switch or the avatar. And then when it goes to the HDMI switch, it then chooses the analog or the HDMI input. And the reason we think it's doing that is to reduce latency rather than have all parts of the system come into the HDMI switch and then pass it straight into this IC. It makes more sense that two go into one, that one then goes into this IC with the avatar coming in as well. So that's the very basics. But the real key here is understanding that there's a single display driver, which is interesting considering some people have had problems with one display being bright and one display being dim or one display changing color. As both displays are driven from the same IC, this would imply that it would be a display issue. But it doesn't necessarily rule out that it isn't a pipeline issue from this IC, because remember, this IC has to pass out the CSI to either side, and there are other components involved. Obviously, you'll have passive components along the way, resistors, capacitors, things like that. So there isn't to say one of them couldn't be playing up, but it's unlikely. What I'm actually a little bit concerned about is what I'm going to show you on this image here. And this is the image of the back of the displays. And what you'll notice is, whilst there are heat sinks on the back of the displays, they are countersunk in this plastic housing. And I have a very real concern that these displays are going to get minimal airflow because the air that would be coming along the back here is going to skit out. Furthermore, that air is all being vented at about this point here on the goggles. So if you now imagine these goggles, I'm going to go to the overhead so you guys can see them. The fan is here, this side, blowing air in. There is no ducting in here. There is a channel up here that allows air into this top, although there is a vent here which is going to let some out, and in my opinion that vent should be blocked to force the air along and out of this vent here, because that's what it needs to do. It needs to come along and out there, in my opinion. However, where the issue is, the fan is coming in here. This display is going to get cooling, but the majority of the air is then expelled out of the vent in the middle, whereas this display, so this one on this side here, is not going to be getting any cooling because the air is being expelled at the top here and out of the nose area here, leaving this display to potentially get a lot hotter than this display. Furthermore, you then have this situation where they appear to be very heavily countersunk inside that plastic. You know, if you look there, that's quite deep in. That really is quite deep into the back. So, the question is this playing into the problem? And the answer to that is potentially yes. Here and now, we don't really understand what the cause of the issues are, that especially though, many people are saying it is that opposite side display that's playing up. So, what are the mod options? Well, another internal fan, which isn't going to be easy. However, and here is something that could be done, genuinely. It's not going to look pretty, and you're not going to want to use the faceplate. However, you could remove those front covers. So let's go on the overhead. You could remove those front covers. They will pop off fairly easily, like that. And you could then mod in some form of cooling on the front here. But remember, there's a board behind this. So it's not even that goes straight to the space. But could you mount a fan here? Potentially. There is that potential. There's not really an option for mounting a fan on the top here for the inside board. But what you could do is block the channel on the side here to stop air coming into this top half, and then put another fan on the top here, cooling that section and allowing that fan to then be all internal cooling. That is a very real possibility. There isn't any space for a fan this side, so options are fairly limited. Options are fairly limited. What I think is possibly the best option is a fan on the top with that vent then blocked, and then allowing it to come through. And I think that might be the better option. It is also, though, worth noting, there is a bit of... This isn't quite as I have just said it either. Because it's quite hard to show you here, and I don't know how easy it's going to be. But that vent goes both sides of the PCB, so it is definitely going to vent. Let me just see if I can do anything with my torch on it. It's not really easy to show you in there. No, I can't really see in there. But yeah. So, as for the overheating, look, mine are not doing it. I left my goggles this week because I was redoing some latency testing this week. And I left my goggles on for 2+ hours. Because I've been latency testing something else this week. And I left these goggles on for 2+ hours. And mine don't overheat. And that is in a plus 20, 21 degree room. That's in a 20, 21 degree room. And mine aren't overheating. Someone has asked me to put them in my 3D printer and then try them from there, which I am going to do. I just haven't had a chance. But look, I can't get mine to overheat. I think there's a few different things going on here. I do think there's just a few different things going on. Failsafe has played with them in the sim for ages and no problems. Yeah, exactly the same. Mine are pretty good. And Failsafe has a production set. Yours are production, aren't they, Failsafe? Mine aren't, yours are. I suspect in the 40C days, yeah, but so did a lot of the others. Look, HDZero goggles are on the edge temp-wise. They are not, you know, those goggles fan up well and truly. But Carl put 2 fans in his. DJIs are generally fine. I think the best and quickest mod would be a separate fan on the top. 3 fans, sorry, not 2. You are right. I forgot about the mid one. Yeah, Carl put 3 in his. And I think Carl manages to keep them under control just. I think they probably need to do more in these. There's actually a bit of space in there. Black goggles are not the best for heat either. You are right, John. They're not. I hope you're well, John, as well. By the way, I don't think I've said hello yet. Taquique's question. If I have DJI 3 and Express ELRS radio, can I sometimes still use DJI FPV remote controller as well easily? No, you're swapping one for the other. I'm not saying you can't do it easily. You could put them on 2 different UARTs, but you'd have to change the settings in your Betafly every time. You'd have to literally go in and swap which UART was the RX. It's not particularly straightforward. Hey, hello, Glorious Quads. Did I receive an A1? No, I didn't. No, I was not on the review list for the A1. I don't believe I will be either. I don't think they're going to seed an A1 out to me. I don't think that'll happen. I am awaiting delivery of the Creality K1C, which I'm actually really interested to see if this is like a fully featured K1. But I don't think Bamboo are going to seed me the A1. That's the truth. Just yeah. I just don't think. I just don't see it happening. I don't think they're gonna push that quite as far as the minis and the other one. I need an espresso. Super Deluxe, how are you, my friend? I hope you're well. I just want to say a massive thank you to I just want to say a massive thank you to Sam FPV for the £4.99 super chat. It's incredible, my friend. Thank you for that. I wonder if you could transport the DJI motion controller and could be put on a beta flight board. Interesting. Yes, I have heard that Big Tree Tech is working on a display touchscreen device for the Bamboo printers. Sounds interesting. K1 Max has been awesome. I have a Volron 2.4 on the K1 Max. Had come first. I wouldn't have bothered with the Volron. If I always say Voron. Cool. I'm glad. Look, the K1 has been good, but it's been problematic. They solved a lot of problems in the Max before users got them. Early K1 adopters did get hit. And look, I'm not going to hide from the fact that I think Creality have also done early adopters of the K1 no favours. Okay, and what I mean by that is this. Not only did they get a printer which really didn't work properly out the box, yes, they sent them a free extruder upgrade. That's great. However, less than 6 months later, they dropped the price by $200 nearly. That's not good. Look, you know, if you take Bamboo, right, you've not seen any price drops on the Bamboos, period. You know, dropping the price, you had loads of people who pre-ordered, loads of people excited, and then like 5 months later, dropped the price by $200. That's not great. That's never good. It's really hard as a creator for me to say that is acceptable. If DJI don't pull out, I don't know anyone who in FPV who's pulled that kind of stunt. And it really, moving forward, it puts me as an honest creator, that I try to be, in a real difficult position, because what I'm literally almost having to say is the price today is this. What it will be in 6 months' time, who knows? If you can wait, it could be worth waiting. You know, we're not talking they're giving you a free couple of spools of filament here, or they're giving you... Look, Bamboo did some Christmas discounts or Black Friday discounts, but Creality dropped $150 to $200 off the K1 pricing, and that's basically permanently off. That's... It's really hard to say, go and buy this today. It would be like these, right? Look, these goggles or whatever they were, $470 now, whatever it was. If we knew Cadex was going to drop the price to $400 in 6 months' time, because they always do it, I would be sitting here telling you, don't buy them, wait 6 months. I think after a year or two, it's okay. 9 to 10 months, maybe it's okay, but less than 6 months is a bit dodgy. It's not a good look. Now, I have a K1. In fact, I have two K1s. And it's a good printer. It's not perfect. It does have... Mine has bed level issues, and it just will not see the level of the bed properly. It goes too close every time in auto bed level. Every time. But it's not terrible. It's not horrible. It's overall a good printer, but it isn't the Bamboo. It is just not the Bamboo by a country mile. What I'm actually interested, though, is what the K1C is like. Is the C what the K1 probably should have been? And I have a feeling it will be. I actually have a feeling it will be. John Coopy, will the new Walksnail system could come in just 6 months too? Could change the goggles situation dramatically. Yeah, and look, in my review, I was very careful to say don't buy these goggles based on the upgrade, and I'm going to say it again. And Cadex will not like me for saying this, but I call complete bullshit on their argument that these goggles are upgradable compared to the originals. It is no easier to swap the module on these goggles than it is to remove the module on the original goggle. And I firmly believe that they could easily make an upgrade module for the original goggle just as they can on this. It is marketing and nothing more. And I've not heard anyone else say this. I'm sorry, though. It is marketing nonsense. It is not easier at all. It just is not. And I might even make a video to prove it. So you will notice in my review, I was very careful on what I said about, oh, it's upgradable. It is upgradable. But let's just add this up, okay? Let me just grab them. Where's the fat sharks? Right here. Okay. So, to remove the front cover on these goggles is 4 screws. You've got to remove the face mask, which will reveal 4 screws. 4 screws, the front cover comes off. It is 2 screws to get this top cover off. So 2 less screws there. Okay, so we're on 2 screws, same situation. Once this cover is off, you then have to remove 4 screws to lift the heat shield off the board. There is no heat shield to remove on this one. It's the same. You have to remove 4 antenna connections on this, 1 MIPI connection, 2 LED board connections, and a power connector. On this, you have to remove 2 display connections, 1 power connection, 1 control connection, and 1 fan connection. The board on this will then slide out. The board on this will then lift out. It is no different, honestly, to change the board on this than it is. Do you want me to do you know what? I'm so annoyed with this argument. I'm going to prove it. Let me just find the right screwdriver. It does have a stupid Torx fit in. Right. Shall I show you how you get the board out of this goggle? Right, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to do this live. We're going to start a timer. Stopwatch. Go. You have to peel a bit of Velcro back on this. I've done it a bunch of times. I should have removed the head strap first because it gets it out the way. It's taken me 30 seconds to remove the head strap. Let's just get that out. Let's get that out. Under here, here's my tweezers. Is a little gap that we can lift the Velcro. Once it lifts, I'll be able to... Oh, I should have warmed these up first. What am I doing? I'm doing it wrong. We're going to start again. I did it wrong. I've just remembered. The face mask comes off. I did it wrong. Right. We're going to do it again. I'm being an idiot. Ready? Start now. I've already removed the face mask, so we're going to count how long it takes to do that. You then peel off this plastic face mask, not the other one. I forgot the face mask comes off. Reveals 4 screw holes. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are Torx, so you're going to need a Torx driver to get into them. This one isn't very good, but it will do. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. They're undone. Front panel off. Ready. Okay. Carefully. Next job. MIPI connection number 1. Display. MIPI connection number 2. Display. We have 4 UFLs that need to come off. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put the front panel to the side. Underneath, there is a cable stuck to the bottom of the board, which needs disconnecting. 1. There is a power cable that goes into the side. 1. The board is removed. Done. 1 minute and 29 seconds. 1 minute and 29 seconds to get the board out of these goggles. Saying that the other ones are easier is marketing nonsense and nothing more. There. Done. Really is that simple. Too long, I ain't got all day here. So to say it is no different in this goggle. The board could be made for this goggle. And this is, yes, there's not 2 ribbons. There's one very difficult one, actually. There's 2 separate ones on the Goggles X. So there's a ribbon on the left and a ribbon in the middle, which is very, very small. It's a bit more difficult to get out because these ones push on. It isn't easier, yet Cadex are selling it. You're going overboard. It really, you know, there is no reason these goggles could not have had an upgraded board option because that is it there. We can send you a new one. There you go, job done. When it comes to popping it back in, this is the board with my customized vent installed. So what you then do is pop those cables to that side there, slide it down in place on the rails. There we go. Then what we've got to do is first of all connect that MIPI that lives underneath, which is here. There's usually a bit of tape to hold it on, but mine's been taken on and off so many times. It's missing. I'm just trying to find where it actually levels up because I'm not looking at it properly. Where's the middle of the connection? It's not actually on the middle, that's why. Get on. And you're going to have all of these in the other one. Yeah, there we go. This one actually needs to be taped down because it doesn't lock in. This one doesn't have a proper lock in. It has a quite a soft one, and it's meant to have glue on the connector that holds it in place. So that's that one there. Put the power connector back in at the side, which is that one there. You then want to do the antennas. So what we want is the transmitting port is that one there on this one. So what we want to do is pop him onto that one there. To be honest, the hardest job on these is the MIPIs. If I'm honest, the MIPI connection is by far, not the MIPIs, sorry, the UFLs. Because they are very, very easy to break. But you've got these on the other goggles as well. It's not just on these. They are a pain in the bum. And I'll be honest, mine have been off a few too many times. And you've got these on the other ones. So it's exactly the same on the other goggle. So you're going to be fighting the UFLs, not the MIPIs. So what you need to do is just make sure that you get them in place. This one on mine is becoming very... These have been off about 20 times, so... And I actually tightened one of these up. Get back, you. I'm actually not sure if I've bent this one. And doing this live is never a good idea. What you can actually do is cheat, is bring it out a little bit further. This one always fights me to go back on. I'm not sure if I've actually bent that one. Is this one it is, though? He does not want to go on. Yeah, that one is playing up, which is the top left, which is the receive port. That one is fighting me. 1 second. I actually suspect I've bent that one over time. I'm not particularly worried. It's a receive port only. Come on. Yeah, no, I'm not going to force that one a minute. I've actually broke that one in testing. It's actually, that one is, I probably need to have a look at that one under the microscope. And trust me, your goggles have not been apart as much as mine has. So you won't have this issue. There, he's gone on now. Although that coax is broke, I'm not going to hide that on. So I'll be swapping that UFL. Then you would go for the other two, which I'm not going to put on because I want to leave that out a second because I'll have a look at that after the stream. Just because that one is because I have had this off about 50 million times. I think I've had this board. Yeah, see, there we go. There we go. UFL died. That's fine. We can fix that. It's fine. It's not a problem. Then you would pop on the displays. These are easier to do with tweezers. When you're doing these. What you want to do is, it's actually easier on this board. If you ever have to take one of these apart, is to bring it forward. So what you can then do is pop your finger on and have a feel for where the connection is and press it in place and it pops on. There you go. Pops on. There we go. And you can feel when they're in place. But look, my argument is it's the same overall process. The process is exactly the same on either of these goggles, on the systems, on everything. So this whole idea that it's any easier on this original goggle is marketing and nothing more. That's all it is. And that's what's quite frustrating. Right, let me just catch up on the chat. I need to swap mine to SMA on my VRX. Super annoying to have to separate the high gain antennas for Avatar and HDZero. Yeah, I know what you mean. You're better just moving the same one to both. Yeah, that's what I'll look. I'll end up just putting a new pigtail on that one. That's I actually damaged that one, I think, in the last video. It wasn't this one, it was the last video. I think I damaged that one because I did take it apart before. So yeah, that was that one. Okay, so that's my argument on the Goggles X. As for the situation, we don't really know anymore. Okay, we're waiting to find out. Merry Christmas to everyone. Right, we have 217 here. So before we move on, I want to say a big thank you for the super chats. And also, please give it a like before we step forward. I'm going to talk about HDZero. What I will never do is just sell you marketing nonsense for no reason. I wasn't doing it. Cadex really pushed to talk about in the reviews. And if you watch a lot of the reviews on the Goggles X, the amount of pushing on upgradability there was, it was crazy, and I was having none of it. I was like, I mentioned it, it can be upgraded in the future. Look, CADX are not going to bring that thing in fucking 6 months. You know that, and I know that. It's going to be delayed. It is just going to be delayed. If there's any more questions on that before we move on, please put them in the chat, and I will try and answer them. Would you consider giving us marketed nonsense for a reason? No. Thanks. Sorry, I made you break your goggles. No. Look, these. To be honest, these haven't had use. I need to get them. I'll fix it. I'll order a new pigtail. It'll be fine. Look, that was broke. Not today. That was long before today. What can there's a F7 do that an F405 can't? Look, it's not... Look, this comes... When you're talking about F7s, F405s, okay, there are UART benefits, there are DMA benefits between the chipsets. You've got to get to F4 series is very, very old. Right, now, so the F4 series has been around a very long time. F7 is a far more capable CPU with a lot of fixes in over the years and a lot of stuff I still don't fully understand. It depends which F7. It's not as simple as saying F7. Look, from a drone point of view, very little. From a drone point of view, look, I'll run an F405 fine. As long as there's enough... The biggest problem, actually, that you start to get in the F series is flash. Funny enough, AVI got there as I did, just as I was saying it. Really, ignoring processing power, the biggest problem is flash memory. The F4 series is limited on flash memory, whereas the F7 and H7 isn't. The F7 and H7 usually has 2 meg of ROM, which gives more space. It's frustrating that it's just onboard flash storage is the limitation. Yes, there's more RAM. Yes, there's more CPU power. But majority of the situation, it actually comes down to flash storage. And what you're sort of now seeing, you got more UARTs, more flash storage, more improved DMA. There's a lot of background stuff was improved. There's a lot of silly issues in the F4s that sort of got workarounds, whereas it was all sort of fixed in F7s and H7s. It's not that there's like a dramatic need for the power. I certainly wouldn't be concerned about buying an F4 for Betaflight. It depends the F7. So you got to remember, not all F7s are equal, not all F4s are equal. You know, there is a vast difference between the models. Yeah, you got the F745 and the H745, F722. So there are differences. Yeah, F405 is a great FC. There's... Yeah, you got 256, 512, 512 kilobytes of flash on the... was that not RAM? Let's have a look at the STM32, F722 versus F745. So, let's have a look. Oh, this thing got a chart on it. No, he hasn't got a chart there. Where's the chart? Here we go. There's a good chart here. Go away. Get off. Oh, no, that one. So, if we look down here. So, we got FCM7, F7... 745 has 216 with the flash memory. 512 to 1 meg, so it depends, again, the model, which is quite frustrating because it's not fixed. 1 meg to 2 meg, 512 to 1 meg. F722. That's not a great chart. I'm trying to find, there's a better chart on these that shows the differences. F722 is limited, yeah. STM used to have a better chart than this. Product selector. F7. So the F722 there has 256. 722IE has 512. 745. Let's see if we can find the 745. 745, 512, on that one's got a, depends obviously the version you choose, but the 745 is a 512 or 1 meg on them. 746. So yeah, it depends. It more than anything, it depends how much flash you want. Yeah, as Brandon Beans has just said, so the F722 will be feature limited in the future compared to the F745 as it is today with the F711. Oh, sorry, F411. Yeah, it predominantly comes down to flash. It's less about CPU speed. We've not really hit the CPU speed bottleneck yet in FPV. Yes, it has an effect, especially when you use bidirectional D-shot. You've got to be a bit careful because you start seeing the CPU usage go up. But overall, or if you're running soft serial as well, but overall, we're not really slamming off the CPU wall yet. It's more flash storage than anything. When would you want the better one? If you're running Ardra Pilot, and possibly iNav now. Betaflight is, I think, is got a bit of way to go, but Ardra Pilot, especially and iNav, are starting to fill out. Betaflight probably soon as well. Lots of work going on Betaflight with the GPS code. If you want to future-proof yourself, get a 745. If you do want to future-proof yourself, get a 745. Or a H series. You won't go wrong with a H either. Those things are monsters. Okay, so the next... Why can I not... My chat is playing up on this window. 1 second. Do we know when Betaflight 4.5 drops? I don't. Sorry, my chat crashed. H743 is a phenomenal FC. Okay, let me just crash down my chat. Diatone has an AT32 F435 for sale now. iFlight also, but why is there 0 recent reviews of the F435? The last reviews are 5 months old. By the way, is the F435 between the F4 and F7? No. Right. The AT32 is not an STM32. So, the AT32 F435. Now, we're going to need to go to iFlight probably for this. The AT32 is not an... It is an ARM-based chip, but it is not an STM32. Now, the reason you haven't really seen reviews on this is because it basically hasn't been fully supported in Betaflight yet. It's basically coming in the next release in 4.5. So there's been a sort of migration code to the side for Betaflight to add support for the AT32s and the others, but it wasn't fully merged yet. So if we just go on iFlight a second, and if we go on Betaflight, and go to Betaflight releases. So if we go to the desktop and just have a look at what's the recent releases. So if we go on Betaflight, releases, 4.43 doesn't have the support for it. Let's just have a look at 4.5 a minute. So the 4.5 is... No, I'm not looking for that. Release notes. Betaflight 4.5. Is it in here? Let me just look. It's not under cloud builds. Is it officially in 4.5? Yeah, I thought it is officially in 4.5. I'm just trying to find if what it says. Do they have it listed here? No, they've not got it as a feature under this, but it's definitely supported in F4.5. So today, these flight controllers are available, but they're not officially supported. So if we go to drone parts, electronics, so if we go to drone parts, electronics, AT435. So Blitz the AT-F435 stack, $49. So it's there. It's got an artery chipset. But if you look down, it should somewhere say that... Oh, they don't say a thing. Interesting. They must be shipping this then with the beta version of... No, do you know what? That's quite crap. I'm not being funny. That isn't good. So that's AT435 stack. Nowhere here does it say it isn't officially supported in Betaflight yet. Great. Very cheap chips. Are there any different features or just cost difference? So, what you're not paying, you have to run a fork. You did have to run a fork. Yes, you did. But what's quite poor is that that is not mentioned there at all. But yeah, look, the reason it's cheaper is you're not paying the STM32 tax. So ST Microelectronics have a very real stranglehold on the small microcontroller business. There are a number of official ARM licensee copies and a number of non-official licensee copies. Arteri appear to be one of the more legitimate ones. They do appear to be fairly legit, and as such, we believe the reliability should be good. But it is still very early days. Very early days. I would say they are the most legitimate of a lot of the clones. But they are designed to virtually be drop-in STM replacements. How does the G4 compare? G4 is a weird series. Even Beta FPV sell on AT32 also? Yeah. So, look, as it stands today, AT32 isn't fully supported in beta flight. That's the reason I haven't made a review on it. That's the reason many others haven't made a review on it. Because it basically isn't ready. You can buy the flight controllers, but the support isn't there officially in beta flight yet, and you've got to run a fork. And I'm not being funny. For that money, you can get an F435 from SpeedyBee. That money is on par. Let's just go to SpeedyBee a minute. So the Blitz F435 stack is $49. Products stack F4. No, we don't want the F405. Oh, yes, we do. Sorry. The F405 version 4 stack $69.99. So it is a bit dearer. So you're talking it's $30, mind. Still a bit, isn't it? Still a bit. What about the Mini? How much is the Mini? Mini stack, $59. That's comparable. I'd go for the 405 Mini at that point over that. I think you're getting at least that way. You're getting something which you know. I think that's a better deal. Chris has a really good comment. These AT and G chips really made sense when COVID shortage was in full swing. However, not so much now. Yeah. Yeah, agreed. It's the Arteri chips are it's less so now. I will be talking about them when we get the full flight stack sorted. So when beta flight's fully supported. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. They're fairly powerful. They're powerful chips, so they're usually clocked well. They're usually clocked a good chunk above what the current chips are. I did a video on it. I can't remember what I said now. It's been a while. Okay. Right, this HDZero thing, let's get this out of the way. So, you might have seen today I put a statement on the channel talking about HDZero and my latency testing. And what I've actually done is as follows. So, last week I put out my review on the HDZero Micro version 3. Micro version 3 camera. And in my testing of that camera, the latency was coming up to a full frame a lot higher than we had traditionally seen on the V2 and the other HDZero cameras. Now, I had extensively tested this before publishing the video, and so the latency numbers were correct. They are still correct. Nothing is wrong with the latency numbers I published. What was evident, though, is in my testing, I was observing some interesting behavior. Now, that interesting behavior I have actually seen before, but in very, very limited numbers. So when I've done my latency testing on HDZero in the past, in the odd run, now and again, I saw this behavior that a part of the image would not update for about 10 milliseconds. Now, what I mean by that is, normally when the image comes in, you see the image roll in, you see it full display, and everyone's happy. However, what we were seeing was about a 10 millisecond delay. Now, I would see it maybe 1 in 20 or 30 runs. So on the HDZero Nano 90, I basically classed this as error, and I ignored the numbers. So, because it was like, this is weird, don't understand it, shouldn't be doing that, we're going to take it out of the latency numbers because it didn't make sense. However, when I got the Micro V3, it was doing this basically almost every single run. And it was enough runs to have a dramatic effect on the latency number to full frame. So the initial pixel latency comes in at a certain level, and then there was the time that the sensor wipe would come in, and then it would pause and hold. The issue on the version 3 was I was seeing this virtually consistently. So whilst in the past, because it was like 1 in 20 runs, I could ignore it as error, when it's doing it every run, I've got to include that number in the latency. And as a result, it caused the latency numbers for that camera to increase dramatically. Now, I did speak to Carl about this, and Carl was convinced it was actually a behavior as a result of the sync time in between the goggles and the camera. I didn't think there was anything he could do about it. So at that time, I was like, well, I'm going to publish the review. It is what it is. Anyway, obviously, after I published the review, there was a lot more noise around this. In that review, I didn't go mad. I didn't go out and out, this is a load of shit. They should do something about this because, look, I wasn't fundamentally against that camera being slower if it was the best 1080p camera. At the end of the day, my job is to provide you the data and for you to make your mind up and me provide an opinion. And my overall opinion still remains today, as it always has, and I've said this many times on the channel, is that I don't believe 90% of users will notice the difference between 20 and 30 milliseconds of latency. So HDZero camera being ideal for 1080p, jumping from 20 milliseconds to 30 milliseconds, whilst not ideal, was not a major problem in my head because it wasn't designed to be their racing camera. It wasn't designed to be their lowest latency camera. It was designed to be a new version which had proper 1080p support. So my overall opinion was, well, look, it's slower, but it works properly with 1080p. So if you want to use that, great. It is what it is. And that's why I didn't really sit there in a review and shout and scream and say, this is a load of crap. What's the point of HDZero making a camera that makes their system slower when it's meant to be the lowest latency system on the market? That wasn't really where my head is at. My head still remains below 35 milliseconds. Most people won't notice. Okay? That's still what I believe. Most general people will not notice. Now, after that video published, obviously there was a lot of noise. There was a lot of people messaging me. And obviously, as people always like to do, is pick up on the negative aspects of a video rather than the positives, where I showed some, I think, some freaking really good looking footage from that camera. And I think I made that camera, I didn't make it look good. I just think I made that that camera looked really good in 1080p. I think I did a decent, it did all right. I had limited time to get the footage out. I didn't have as much time as I would have liked. The weather here has been horrible. I think it looked really good. But what people concentrated on is, oh my God, it's added 10 milliseconds of latency. So, anyway, me and Carl have been messaging back and forth over this. I've been traveling a bit this week, so I haven't really had a chance to look at this, and literally until yesterday. And we were going back and forth, and Carl was like, look, I thought it was this clock thing, but here's a quick question. Are you seeing tearing? Because if you're having part of a frame not update, what you should get is tearing, just like you do on a PC when you're gaming. And this is why VSync exists, because you get in gaming, 2 different parts of a frame appear, and you will get tearing. And what was interesting was I wasn't getting tearing. And this started to lead me into thinking something is going on. Now, Carl was leaning more on the way we do it with the 1,000 frames a second camera. And Carl was thinking, is it to do with that? But I wasn't convinced, simply because it doesn't do it on anything else. And it was very repeatable on this new camera. So anyway, after a bunch of latency testing, I got to thinking about the AGC. I was convinced something was at play with the AGC. So what I decided to do was turn off, pretty much null down the camera as much as I could. So I turned the brightness option down to minimum. I fixed the shutter speed at a number to ensure that it was correct, but also it wasn't adjusting to let in more light. And I basically turned off all of the AGCs and made sure the camera was behaving in a bare minimum state. When I did that, it then started behaving properly. And I was then again seeing the 20 milliseconds of latency. Now, My feeling on this, and it is just feeling, I cannot confirm this 100% because we don't know, but my feeling is the LED is overloading the auto gain circuit on the camera, and it's going into some form of shutdown and skipping those lines. And that's why we were getting this behavior. That's why when I saw it on the other camera, it was very random. But this camera is more sensitive to light. This camera is designed for better low light. It's got a new lens. I think it's been tweaked with regards to sensitivity. And I basically think we were shining a torch into its eyes and it was overloading it. And that was the issue. Because you have to remember, the way we test this is not natural. What we're doing is taking a big LED, shining it into the camera and measuring how long it takes to come through. But that is, whilst it is absolutely a fantastic way of viewing not only the latency, but also the frame delivery, okay? What it isn't great for is demonstrating the camera in real-world use. And what I think we were doing is probably just pumping in a bit too much light into the sensor, and it was causing this issue. And when I wound everything back and I've made a change on the test setup, I've actually just put a piece of paper over the top of the LED to, you know, just to diffuse it a little bit. And I wound the camera back and perfect. Problem's gone away. So the problem was caused by the testing. It isn't to say the testing was wrong. I have never observed this behavior on DJI. I've never observed this behavior on Avatar. It's only on HDZero. It could absolutely be something related to runcam cameras, because remember, all of the HDZero cameras are runcam. None of the others are runcam, so it could be a quirk in the runcam AGC circuit and the way the runcam do their software. I don't know. But all I do know is it was not behaving as expected, and the testing was pushing it into that. So what I did was as follows. Obviously, I put out the statement, which I've put out today, and I have withdrawn the review. It is the only right thing to do. The review will have to be re-edited, and then I will re-upload it, and then put it online again. Probably just with a very quick, here's the latency numbers. For those who've watched this video already, there was some nonsense. However, now it's all been solved. I am more than comfortable that what I have now done is correct. Someone said to me the other day, oh, you just take... it's been I laugh because I can't win. I say something about Cadex, I'm a Cadex shill. If I say something about DJI, I'm a DJI shill. Now it is official. I have made it into the realms of a HDZero shill because I have been told that I've bowed down to pressure from Carl. And I shouldn't have changed it, which is quite funny. I really cannot win. I just cannot win. But this one made me laugh. This comment. Just grab a drink. I really cannot win anymore. I've come to that conclusion, and I'm going to talk about that at the end of this video. And I'm probably going to upset someone at the end of this video. But I can't win. So look, the video's offline. It's the only right thing to do. Look, what I will say is this. There is some validity. Not really. There is an argument to be said. Look, if the testing is affecting the result, then you have to change the testing. And that is, without any doubt, what is happening here. If this was happening in the real world, there would be tearing. There has to be tearing. If you've got part of the last frame and part of a new frame, you have to have tearing. There is no other way it will link. You come down and you got the new frame and it stops and it leaves a band that big, right, of the old frame. You will have a torn image. There is no other possibility of what you will see. There is no tearing in the DVR. There is no tearing in a dedicated shake test that I did here in the studio. I went all the way through all of the testing. It has to be introduced to something to do with like the AGC or something like that. So, tweaking the test method when you believe the test method is having an effect on the result is the only right thing to do. The test method is not real world, so you have to adjust your testing to confirm. Now, the argument is, do you... You know, what you could say is, this camera doesn't work properly when you shine a full LED directly into the lens. Look, that would be an absolutely fair statement to make. This camera will start to skip frames if you shine a bright LED directly into the lens. I have not observed that on the other systems. That is fair, but that isn't what we're testing for. What we're testing for is overall system latency designed to represent a real world. What about looking at the sun? You're never going to get it that bright looking at the sun. You're never going to get it that bright. And remember, it was adding 10 milliseconds of latency at best to part of the frame. Because you've got to remember, it wasn't the whole frame that was adding latency. When I'm measuring the full frame data, I have to see the whole frame change. And I can actually show you this effect because I have a video on this, and this is the video I actually shared with Carl to demonstrate the issue. And I've shown this to a few people on my Discord to show you what I mean, because you have to understand I was having to add 10 milliseconds to wait for the frame to level up. Okay. So if we now go to this, go full screen and go to the desktop. Right. So let me show you what it should look like when a full one comes in. So just to demonstrate this here, let me just go back to... Okay, so what happens here is you will see a red LED come on at the side. That is the point in a moment that two LEDs are illuminated. One LED, so if I just play, there. So that is the point that both LEDs have illuminated. And what we then do is count the frames between this LED coming on and this LED here in the system. So if I hit play again, what you will then see on this video is that we will slowly count forward, and I'm actually explaining this in the video, but we will count forward how many frames, and you'll see it happen in a moment. Just wait for it to start. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that was 3 frames, and then you can see the first line of data appear. So that is what is classed as the first pixel. Because remember, the data doesn't come in as a pixel. The data comes in as a line on HDZero. So that is the first point I measured a pixel of change. That was 3 milliseconds. So if we go back to here, you'll see me count forward 3 frames. You'll see it skip 1 second in a moment. So 1, 2, 3. So that is 3 milliseconds to the first pixel coming in. What we then do is start counting the rest forward. So wait for the rest, and I'll start counting it now. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Wait for it. I've stopped. And it would be 19 milliseconds to meet basically the point of where it went to there. So full frame, 19, 20 milliseconds of data. Nice and straightforward. You can see it roll in. So there, that was 3 milliseconds. And then we'll see it roll in on the scan. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 milliseconds to bring a full frame in. So that's all correct. That all looks fine. Everyone is happy. However, if we now look at the one with the issue, this is the one with the problem here, and this is what we were seeing. So if we start, you'll notice there, the first image has appeared. That's great. All looking good. Fine. Everyone's happy, as it was before. But you now see it scan down. But now look what's happened. It's stopped here. It hasn't continued to scan all the way down. And it's now skipping it all the way through until it comes back at the top and then continues to scan down. As a result of that, it left a far larger gap in latency. So what we were actually seeing was, if we just get to the point where we start counting it, right there. So wait for the LED to come on. What? That's on. So then we count forward to the start. 1, 2, 3. 3 milliseconds. So there. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 21 to that point there, and nothing's changed. 22, 23. No, that's me going backwards. So I'll count it. It's probably on this one here. Wait for it. 3. Put my mouse there. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. I kept stopping doing this while I was talking. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 34 milliseconds for the full frame. So that was the problem. It wasn't that it was like hanging with nothing. You were getting this gap, and this gap would be random. This gap would be moving around. It was very, very weird. However, we've managed to solve it. And I believe it's the LED. I'm more than comfortable to say that. So as it stands today, I have pulled the video down. The video will be re-edited. I am more than happy to say the camera has the same latency. The other one, Carl didn't ask me to do any of this. Let me be also crystal clear. Carl did not ask me to do anything at all. Carl just said, I said, look, let me look into it further and I'll let you know. Completely off my own back. I pulled the video completely off my own back. Did I then put the statement? The edit video will be re-edited moving forward. So changing the test data for this is simply reducing the amount of light that goes in. Could I see Morse code in the blinks? It probably said DJI. So, look, that was the situation. I'm not really changing the test method. All I'm really doing is tweaking the test method to try and avoid this issue. And that's what I'm doing, and that's why I'm more comfortable. Now, this will have zero impact on any of the other testing. It doesn't affect the HDZero initial testing. It doesn't affect the DJI testing. It doesn't affect the Avatar HD testing. I only ever saw this on HDZero. It was ignored in the other cameras. It was only the V3 I had to include it because I couldn't get a bloody recording out of it that didn't do it. If I got, even on the HDZero on, say, 20 runs, of which 5 of them had this issue, I'd have probably ignored it as error as well. But when it was like every run, I had to include it. And that's the thing. And that's what the cause was. So, the video's down. We will redo it. It will be published. That was the cause. It wasn't that the testing was wrong. It was just the testing seemed to produce some random error that no one else was seeing until I did it the way I did it. And look, testing with an LED is not perfect science. it's not the greatest way of testing it. Just catching up on the chat. And before I do, I need to talk about Toilet Duck donation on the super chat. $30.90 Australian dollars. Thank you, my friend. That is incredible. Thank you for the efforts this year, mate. Have some dollary ducks. Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. That's incredible. Merry Christmas to you as well. Nine minutes to go. 9 minutes to go before. So, right, before I wrap this one up, because I want to wrap this up before midnight, the last thing I want to talk about is the channel very quickly. Right, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's supported this channel in the last 12 months. It is the end of the year, and we're going to do an end of the year stream. It won't be, I'll do one next week, but it won't be New Year's Eve. Okay? But I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who supported the channel. Now, the channel has grown dramatically, and over the last few months, look, I've made some comments about how I intend to reduce the amount of reviews I'm doing on the channel. That is a plan, but it takes time. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing reviews. I've also got to the stage where whatever I do, I can't win, okay? I'm accused of being a shill every time I do something that suits one group of people that the other group of people don't like, whether it be Cadex, whether it be DJI, or whether it be others. Now, there are companies that I do use affiliate links with on this channel. Radio Master, Bamboo Labs, Creality, and there's a number of others, not everyone. In the past, I've had this opinion that affiliate links skew people's perception of what you do. That hasn't changed, but I'm at the stage now where I can't win, right? Whatever I do, I'm going to be accused. So what I've decided is really simple. Where I feel there is a benefit to this channel, I'm going to use an affiliate link. That doesn't change my opinion on the company. That doesn't change my opinion of the review. It doesn't change what I say. I don't care if I say something and a company says, we no longer want you part of the affiliate scheme. I'll say, okay, fuck you, move on with my life. That is exactly how I operate. There are vendors who will tell you this is true, right? It's really simple. YouTube income is not enough to keep this channel going. I have amazing support of the channel members and patrons. You are incredible. I cannot do this without you. But that doesn't pay for a 2 or 3 grand DJI set of drone and goggles when it releases next year. I still need the other income to make sure that we have enough money to buy everything we need, right? Whether that's equipment, whether that's everything else, okay? I am more than happy to take Cadex's money to allow me to go and buy the next DJI FPV goggles and drone. If Cadex are happy for me to say what I say in the way I say it, like I have tonight, and they still want me to be part of their scheme, I am more than happy to take their money and use it to buy the products that I can't get anywhere else. I'm not going to apologize for that. What you have from me is a promise that no amount of money, no amount of affiliate income will ever change my opinion. There is no money anyone can give me that will ever do that. And honestly, I had a bit of a falling out with a good vendor a couple of weeks ago, and I just went, no. And there are people who know this. I don't mess around. I can be more than unreasonable at times, as those of you who've probably watched the channel for a long time know. I am belligerently unreasonable when it comes to control over my content and how I perceive a manufacturer may be trying to control what I do. I am literally obsessed with ensuring that will not happen. So what I've decided is whatever happens now, I'm going to do what I feel is best. I'm still me. Nothing changes that. No amount of affiliate income. They can all stop it tomorrow. I don't care. But if it is right for the channel, and if it is right, if it's a good vendor that I know is not going to screw you, like Radio Master, it's true. You're an unreasonable git. That man knows. That man knows. I promise you. I am unreasonable is an understatement, to say the least, right? Where I feel it is right, I will use them. Where I don't, I won't. But I will only do it with vendors I can trust. And it's really simple. It's that black and white. And I'm not going to apologize for it anymore. I've had enough of the nonsense. I can't win whatever I do. I wish you guys could see some of the things I have kicked back, because some of it's just, you know, it's just, it's just not how I operate. I will always be honest. Some people might not like what I say, especially vendors. However, look, if you want me to talk about the product, I'll talk about it and I'll say how it is. You might not like it, but it's the truth. And that's it. Right, I'm ending that there. Merry Christmas. You are amazing. I will see you on the other side. Stay safe, and I will speak to you all soon. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.